Good afternoon, dear colleagues. We continue our working day at Ukraine Crisis Media Center. The topic of the next press briefing is information portal on legalization and socialization of Russian political immigrants, named EmigRussia.org. Our guests are Gregory, Frolov, Director of Development of Free Russia Foundation, Yulia Arkhipova, Coordinator Free Russia, EmigRussia Project, Pavlo Kaliuk, Coordinator on Coordination of EmigRussia, and also, we will be joined by Maksim Butkevych, lawyer, coordinator of the project of Social Action Center. Please, dear guests, welcome on stage.
Здравствуйте, дорогие друзья.
Good afternoon, dear friends. Firstly, I would like to say several words about Free Russia Foundation. This is an organization we created by political migrants in the United States, and we carry out several projects. This organization has the goal to create a community of Russian immigrants abroad, because now we are in the new times for Russia, when there are a lot of people that are interested in the future of their country, but they left the country because of the Crimean events and the war in Donbass and Russian participation in the war. And our foundation tries to unite these people, that they were together and that they would work for the benefit of their country and for its future. And our foundation also coordinate activities with international experts in order to provide information about the processes that are on the way in Russia, and to provide them with information about coordination of efforts with civil society and power of Russia, and how we can overcome this regime that was established in Russia. And now I understand that Ukraine is the next country in which we should carry out our social duties, because Ukraine is an endpoint for those people who fled from Russia because of political repressions, or because of the atmosphere of hatred that is there because of the Kremlin propaganda. And these people, they go to Ukraine, and for most of them, they don't know other languages, and they stay here in Ukraine. And for example, these people, they do not have foreign passports, and in Ukraine we have a lot of political immigrants who come here fleeing from persecutions because of criminal proceedings that are used against people who provided some comments on the internet. And we launched the project emigrussia.org, and this is a portal that from one side aims to provide information to people who go from Russia, how to cross the border legally, and how to become a resident here, and not to encounter some problems because of lacking of knowledge. And in Ukraine there are a lot of organizations who help immigrants, and we want to become a service that will connect Russian immigrants with those people who can help them. And moreover, our portal also provides information to Ukrainian citizens about Russian immigrants, the stories of success of people who build their business here in Ukraine and who help develop Ukrainian society, and stories of people who fled Russia and because of criminal punishment, and they were asked to come to Ukraine, and now they have many problems with Ukrainian bodies because the migration service do not work properly. And also we see our social function in resolving these issues. We want to help Russians to integrate in Ukrainian society and to create communities and work for European choice of Russia. And we want to develop programs here in Ukraine and civil dialogue between our societies, because we understand that this is a very important mission, and we understand that for Ukraine and for Russian society, we should overcome Russian regime and to establish better ties with Russia, and we should communicate among ourselves. And I give the floor to my colleague Yulia Arkhipova, and she will tell us about the people who stay now in Ukraine. Good afternoon. I came to Ukraine half a year ago, and for this half year I'm asked by people who are in Russia or who want to go to Ukraine, or they plan to go here, or people who want to cross Russian and Ukrainian border, and they do not understand what to do. We understood that this problem exists, and we should create a project in which we could gather all necessary information about coming from Russia to Ukraine, because things are not simple, not so easy as we want it to be. And the main part of the site is the instruction about where to address to, what documents to collect, and how to legalize in Ukraine. And also a part of the site is launched about the stories of people with texts about crossing the border, about the Institute of Refugees, because for us it is important that people who come to Ukraine, they should understand realia of Ukraine. And also we will launch a part of site that will be dedicated to the adaptation and socialization of Russian migrants here in Ukraine, the order of obtaining medical help or education, or how to find housing. Or, for example, there was an important matter that it is difficult in Ukraine for non-resident to open bank account, and we will provide information how to do this. Thank you, and I give the floor to Pavel. I'm Pavel. I'm responsible for local community activity and interaction with them. I would like to say that this idea was born organic, and this idea was made in such a way. We said that you came here, so let's help others who cannot be in conditions of Russia. So we will help people to adapt, to help to solve their problems, to provide them about housing opportunities. So this is a win-win situation. Grisha, Yulia, Asya, Piera, who are present here. You cannot see all of them, but maybe you know them. These are wonderful people who strengthen our society and who did and who do many really cool things today. That's why I think that everything will be okay. So let me ask several questions. What is the number of people who addressed your organization? And what is their age? What about their professions? If we are speaking about people, so these are people who know each other. This is contacts through gossip wine. So maybe there is a problem that people who live in Russia and they live in that media space, they do not know and do not understand to whom to address to. And our goal is to provide information to Russian media and Russians who write on Facebook or in contact Twitter about politics, and they can be accused of terrorism, and these people who go to rallies, gatherings, or to take part in election campaigns. Now large campaign is started for Duma, elections, and we believe that this will influence the number of people who want to find refuge or to immigrate, because their life will be turned into hell by law enforcers. That's why. Thank you. I would like to add, it's important to say that this portal was started 20 minutes ago, before the start of this conference. So our work with people till today was informal. And this portal was created in order that people that are in Russia and who think about this opportunity, or those who are in a special situation, they should know what to do, because problems connected with persecutions because of political reasons. A person firstly encounter with crossing the border, and if there is no foreign passport, it's very difficult to cross. That's why they should say the word refuge, but many people do not understand. They just come to the checkpoint and tell the stories to bodyguards that they're political immigrants, and the officers of border control, they have clear instructions. If they didn't mention the word refuge, the procedure won't start. And we should say that many people are now in Ukraine, and they have broad circles of problems because they made some mistake while crossing the border or while applying the documents, or they didn't address the right organization, or with some other problem. So only official documents, there are about 300 in several years that passed, and less than 10% are positively solved. So we face the situation. And the Russian refugee Lyubchenko, who was one of the co-organizers of the march of Kuban, rallies against Russian intrusion in Donbass, he cannot get the status, and he has problems with the Ukrainian bodies, and his colleague, the organizer of the march, he is in prison. She was sentenced for 2 years for this rally. And when we say about people who are here, these are refugees who are in deep troubles, because many people understand that it's not simple to do this in Ukraine. And if you can legalize, they try to legalize themselves. And we understand that you can get not permanent residency. And then there are many people who can legalize in Ukraine by origin. And it is understandable that Ukraine and Russia, they lived for a long time together, and many people have relatives of Ukrainian origin and helps to legalize in Ukraine. But this is a procedure, and you should follow the procedure, and people should be informed of the procedures. And we want not to change the rules, but we want to clear this green corridor and to explain to people how this procedure is going. Thank you.
I have one more question. How many people are engaged to a project? Will you be seeking any volunteers or staff? At the moment, we have 4 persons of Ukrainian team, our staff, and our headquarters also are involved in this process, and we hope it would be developed. We have here also engaging community and NGOs. We have here Pavlo to represent the advocacy organizations, and we hope that the advocacy organizations will be engaged, and we would like to engage those who represent Ukrainian community. We understand that our status as such NGO representing Russian society in Ukraine is rather complicated, because there is a conflict between our countries, and we are not the party in the conflict because we do not support politics of Russia, but anyway it is a challenge, but we want both Russian and Ukrainian NGOs to be engaged in our processes and who have already agreed to partner with you. We have already partnership agreements with Socialization and Project Without Borders and the Information Center on Civil Rights, on Human Rights. I have yet another question. Who funds this project? At the moment, the project is launched exclusively by Free Russia Foundation funds. In future, we hope for fundraising and finding more donors, and we also expect support from the society, Ukrainian society and diaspora, but now our foundation funds our activities. Do you have office? You have already the website, but what about your legal office? Oh yes, at some moment in future we will open the office, we will establish the office, but first we would like to see what request would be for our support after we have initiated the website. And are you going to contact already some ministries in Ukraine? Have you had any feedback if you had already contacted them? Yesterday we met head of department for asylum and documenting of foreigners by state migration service. We said that we are oriented to dialogue and understanding by people of migration policy of the migration service. So I understood that the migration service is oriented to good dialogue, good cooperation with us. So soon we will post interview with Natalia Naumenko, the head of the migration service, on our website, and the interview will be about Ukrainian policy of migration. You have the website, and do you plan Facebook and pages in other social media? And what are other contacts, email and telephone hotline? We will launch today. It's just a matter of few hours. We have already pages, and there is a form of feedback at our website, and it is possible to get requests in a very fast manner because I receive messages saying that there are some feedback from people, and if we will see that there is request, there is demand for hotline, then we will launch it. So far we supposed to use only email contacts. I have one more comment. From dialogues in our life, very many people try to enter Ukraine, but their destination is in other Western foreign countries. This way, we just lose opportunities, lose brains, and we lose those people who are very similar similar to us by their strive to freedom, by their convictions. Russia lacks freedom. The main thing is values, and the second thing is values. Those people who move, they try to enter Ukraine, but they face barriers which are built by our bureaucracy. That is why they move to the countries where there are less barriers. Our bureaucrats, they fear some responsibility that people coming from Russia, they could be some foreign agents, and then they will be responsible for giving them possibility to enter Ukraine. But if we remove barriers, it would be useful for all of us. I would like to summarize and finalize the news briefing. I have noticed an interesting thing. We are in such an situation when people from the country aggressor, people flee to the country against which this aggression takes place. These people, they are of extreme value. We just should understand how to work with them. How can we, inside Ukrainian society or between Ukrainian and Russian society, to reach some consensus on the situation? We are here to support people. We are here to support people fighting for freedom, or for those people who, by their ideological values, do not share the values which are now proclaimed in Russia. Thank you very much to our guests. Well, Maksim is going to come in several minutes. One question about future. The war will end sometime, sooner or later, and the Kremlin elite will die some moment. So we should plan for a long term to help people, those people who have adequate values, so that they may survive. It is more possibilities for survival for them here than in Russia. Yet another question. Have you tried to contact international emigrant organizations, and are you interested in support of international partners? Yes, we have started to contact all international NGOs and official state organizations, but before entering the international level, we should achieve some results so that we can talk about some specific issues. Yes, we plan meetings with refugee organizations, and after I visit Washington, we will have many new meetings. Now Maksim Butkevych, representative of Social Action Center, he is joining us now. Excuse me for being late. I am from the Center of Social Action. Our project is without borders, and we, among others, try to help refugees from former Soviet countries. People asked for legal and social assistance. They are people from former Soviet countries situation. Most of them since 2014 are from Russian federations. They expected that new post-revolutionary republic Ukraine will accept its former enemies and will consider their requests for residency in Ukraine, but now they feel disappointment because Ukraine is not ready to work with immigrants, and when there are very good grounds for them to be granted asylum, anyway they are refused asylum, and even those people who were shoulder to shoulder with us at Maidan and who also were in Ukrainian troops fighting against Russia, they were provided the decisions to be
Часто люди, которые не могут вернуться обратно.
So some people, they just cannot go back to Russia because there are criminal proceedings against them and they cannot legalize in Ukraine, and they fought for Ukraine together with Ukrainian citizens. And the situation is not good for our country. This is dishonest. And about a year ago, in the middle of April last year, Petro Poroshenko presented a Ukrainian passport to this resident of Russia, wonderful journalist and activist and wonderful person, Ekaterina Sergatska. He promised to change the procedure of obtaining citizenship and refuge and add this process of legalization for Russian democratic opposition activists. And in a year, it won't happen. And we try to help people, and there are some instances when Ukraine provides the status of a refugee, but in some cases it doesn't. And the most known case in the media, Alexei Vetrov case, he is a renowned Russian activist. He is not from Moscow, but he is one of the persons. He has all the necessary documents, and of course he is present in the social media. He was rejected by services, and in these cases, of course, we need solidarity and consolidation of efforts if you want to defend the rights of people who need refuge. And we now the situation looks bad, and we are very glad that our colleagues who unfortunately had to flee Russia because of the obvious reasons, they fled not only to preserve their health and freedom, but that they will be able here to continue their activities, and we will support them and we will join our efforts. So this is the main thing that we are going to do in the framework of the project we've presented today. Thank you very much, Maksim. Thank you, everyone. This is the end of the press briefing. Thank you very much and goodbye.